What's up, Purposeful family? Welcome back to another purposefully packed episode of the Pretty Purposeful podcast. I am your host, Angie Melodye.
And I'm your co-host, Candace.
Y'all, did y'all miss us? It's been a couple weeks. We took some time off, much needed time off. We hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. But we are back today with an amazing episode. We have a wonderful guest we're excited to bring on board. But before we do, as you all know, we like to give y'all some updates and let you know what we've been up to. Okay, so girly, I can tell from your background you're not at home. So where you at? What's going on? What you been up to, girl?
Ooh, Angie, I have been on the road. So I came back from Arkansas a couple of days ago. I couldn't make it completely. I got tired, so I'm pulled over, not necessarily pulled over, but I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, had to stay the night, and I'll be headed home right after we shoot this episode. So a 2-hour drive, and then I'll make it home. But yeah, that's
well, you know, Candace, I'm first of all, I have to say, I'm glad that you chose to pull over and take a rest, because I know you will try to push it. And I'm just very proud of you for choosing to sleep and get your rest, because you travel a lot. And especially when you're on the road, that's scary and dangerous. And but you're not that far from home. So what you been up to? How was your holiday and anything new?
It was so good. Thanksgiving was pretty good. I actually didn't do any traveling during the Thanksgiving holiday. I spent some time with my uncle. He was feeling a little ill, so I just wanted to, be around, keeping some company. I don't really be cooking like that, so me and him were both kind of suffering on Thanksgiving Day. But me and a friend of mine, she invited me over to her spot to cook some dishes. It turned out really nice. So it was actually a pretty decent Thanksgiving. We didn't have the full shebang, buffet, but we were able to eat something. So
hey, oh girl, look, now I feel some kind of way, because I would have extended an invite to you. I think for me on my end, because my Kayla had to get her teeth pulled, I was so concerned about, trying to make sure that the food that I did make was soft, But if anybody would have came and tasted my food, they'd probably been like, well, okay, this is a little bit softer than I'm used to. But, I was just, trying to make sure I was accommodating her. But yeah, girly. But I'm glad you at least got a chance to spend some time with your uncle and your friends. And sounds like you had time. So
yes. How was your Thanksgiving? I know you just mentioned that, what you cooked up, some soft foods. It was you and Michaela chilling. But it was for you as well.
Yeah, I originally wanted to go back home. I was going to surprise my family, but Michaela, because she's an adult now, she's able to schedule her own appointments. Wow. She decided to schedule her, tooth extraction, her wisdom teeth extraction the day before Thanksgiving. So when she finally told me, I was like, okay, well, there goes those plans. So she actually handled the surgery pretty well. So it wasn't too, much hands-on with her, right? But we were able to enjoy a good meal together. She actually was up for going to the movie. So we actually got a chance to go see Wicked, which was amazing, girl. If you haven't seen it, y'all, you got to go see it. It was just amazing. Ariana and Cynthia, they did a phenomenal job, and I never even saw the live, production. But I'm ready to go see it again. And the music, the cinematography, just the story itself. I didn't know what the plot of the story was, but just the themes that are in there are so relevant to what's going on today that I think that, yeah, the timing, it could not be any more perfect. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And of course, getting ready for the holidays. As you can see, we have our winter wonderland theme going on, and we're looking a little festive. So definitely trying to get into that spirit of the holiday season. So yeah.
Aww.
Those are the updates. Yes. What about oh, I know what I wanted to ask you about. How has Midnight been? Yes, how has your little friend Midnight been?
Let me tell you something about Midnight.
What's going on?
I went out of my way. So to those that don't know who we're talking about, there is a little black female cat that we pretty much basically adopted, and talk about my parents, my family and I. And it started to get really cold. So on Amazon, I purchased Midnight, a small little home, heated on the inside, got her a home, built the home, set it outside so she could be comfortable. Days go by, I don't see Midnight getting accommodated with her home at all. She just wants the food. It's like
she's like, lady, you're doing too much.
Yes. And I'm just like, okay, so all right. And then, lately I feel like we've bonded. We have like a little relationship going on. I bring food, you happy, you meowing and all of that. And I try to, give me a hug in, with this wonderful black cat. And Midnight, the way that she will react when I try to pick her up for like cuddles, she'll just look at me like this for 2 seconds. And then tries to run away. So, yeah, like you were saying earlier, Angie, yeah, she's not really the cat for emotional support.
Wow, she's emotionally unavailable. Would you say she for the streets?
Midnight for the streets. She look at me like, I don't do no cuddles.
Midnight does not understand. Like, there's not a lot of Candaces out there in the world. Like, the fact that you have this, Georgia is freezing right now. I was just outside last night and I was just thinking about Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh and I remember it being cold in November, but I was just outside last night like, oh no, the climate change is happening. This is ridiculous. I had to bring my plants in from outside and I'm just like, yeah, so Midnight, you better appreciate what you got because Candace, you still can return that, right? You still
I'm this close to returning that house of hers because she don't, and you know what? Like my uncle said, she might be two-timing me. So she can have a whole house somewhere else. And now she got her a little condo with me, but she like
you know what? You might be onto something. Because I have a Ring, one of those Ring cameras, and when you have a Ring app, the Ring app, and you're connected, they have this thing called the neighbors, and people just update what's going on in the neighborhood. So people do report stray animals, and what's been happening in Duluth is there's this one dog that keeps showing up at one neighbor's house. She's not an abandoned dog. Like, she's not a lost dog. She just literally likes to keep visiting this one house. So yeah, it does happen. You're like the surrogate. You're like you might be the godparent. I don't know, Candace, but Midnight. Well,
so that's midnight news.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Well, all right, Purposeful family. We hope, again, you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving and are getting ready for the holidays. Of course, this season is not about spending money. So we also hope that you guys are not feeling pressure to be shopping, but most importantly, that you guys are well in all aspects, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, especially. Before we get into this episode, let me go ahead and introduce this topic for today. All right, Purposeful family. So today's topic is shame shackles. Woo! And Candace, this was actually a topic that you wanted to do. Do you want to share with us what made you want to do this? Yeah.
Yes. So I read a book by Brene Brown, and she talks about vulnerability, and she actually focused on, in her studies becoming a doctor, she focused on shame and how it affects people. And I've watched so many episodes of Oprah, her doing interviews with Brene Brown. And it is actually something that should be talked about because so many people go through it and it affects so many adults. I mean, children, it can affect children as well. And shame is it's like a sneaky villain, right? Because it can literally hinder you from being your best self based off of if you allow it to. If you allow it to take hold of your feelings, of what you believe in, shame can really do some damage and prevent you from being the great person God wanted you to be in the first place. So I'm so happy we are talking about this. I'm super excited about our guest that we'll be bringing on soon. And yes, Angie, look, thank you for being open and willing to talk about this topic that's not really easy to talk about, because who wants to talk about what causes shame?
Right. Yeah, I think just overall, just the topic of shame itself can cause some anxiety for some people who are dealing with shame, right? I think if people haven't dealt with shame, just the topic of it itself can be difficult for people to even engage in. So hopefully, those of you who are watching this right now, if you may be dealing with shame yourself, just know that this is a safe space. There's no judgment. This is the conversation that we want to be able to introduce this topic so that you all understand that you don't just experience it and automatically get over it. It is something that you have to work through. As a matter of fact, the subtitle of this topic is actually, couldn't fit it on the screen because it's long, but liberation through self-compassion. And that's only a piece of it. But of course, the self-compassion, that in and of itself is just really loving yourself, giving yourself grace. And our guest that we're getting ready to bring up, she's going to talk more about that. Speaking of our guest, our next guest is a passionate life coach and advocate for transformation. She is dedicated to helping others turn their pain into purpose, their misery into ministry, and test into powerful testimonies. Her journey, marked by overcoming incredible life obstacles, has fueled her mission to inspire and empower those around her. With an unwavering commitment to finding peace and sharing that insight, she works tirelessly to see others delivered and thriving. I first met Melodye Wilson at the Georgia Festival of Trees last year, and from that moment, we've been connected ever since. She's an avid music lover, youthful, fashionista, and wise beyond measure. She exudes a spirit of resilience and joy that lights up every room she enters, and her warmth and kindness are undeniable. Purposeful family, please help us welcome the incredible Miss Melodye Wilson. Woo! Welcome, Melodye.
Thank you.
It's okay if we call you Mel?
Thank you. Yes, please do. Awesome. We family, so please call me Mel.
Thank you so much. So tell us a bit about yourself, Mel. Tell us a bit about your background and let us know what made this conversation something that you wanted to be a part of, the topic of shame.
Thank you. Again, Angie, it was definitely meant for us to meet. And I thank you for this platform. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Maryland. I've been in Georgia for 10 years now. In the the shame, when you told me about that purpose in the title, I thought about my life. Being married multiple times, one would want to shame you so that you don't try love again. Oh, you've been married before. Having my third child 18 years after my other ones, that, oh, well, now you got different daddies. But so the world would shame you. I wouldn't have my blessing of my child if I let the world shame me because my other marriage didn't work and now I want another child. And then when it came to love, oh, you were married before, now you get married again. And so the world would shame you, but then I wouldn't have met the king come back into my life after 42 years if I let the world shame me from love. You can only do your part. And I always try to emphasize people that do your part. And I'll talk more about that part, because that's all you can do. If it's a covenant, and if that gets broken, that relationship, and you've done your part, that's all you can do. And so a lot of times with failed relationships, and I see so many hurting people that give up on love, giving somebody else the control of their purpose in life because of someone else's doing. And so that thrived me because I'm no different than anybody else. And so when I look in the mirror, if I can do it, then somebody else could do it. So that is my driving force to say, there's a lot of hurting people that done gave up on love, that done gave up on marriage, that gave up on relationships because of someone else's doing.
Wow.
And that is a lifetime, I want to say, prison sentence. It's a lifetime sentence.
That's true.
And that I'm not going to give nobody that much control of my life. Everybody know what to do, and this just came to me. Everybody know what to do to avoid prison. You do the right thing. You don't steal. You don't do. Everybody know what to do to avoid prison, but yet they live in prison in their heart and their life. And that God just gave me that. But we avoid prison. But you're in prison. And that is my purpose, is to release you out of prison, give you a get out of jail free card, because it's there. But you have to, believe it or not, it's a conscious decision. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, this is just easy. But I made that decision in 2019 that I set boundaries, and I said, no more. Like, being a loyal person and having a big heart, you tend to seem like you get hurt more. But once you get to that point that, you know what, I'm a loving, I ain't changing. This is who I am.
Right.
I'm loving. I have a big heart, and I'm not going to change who I am. The devil would rather me say, I wish I would help somebody else out. I wish I would love somebody else. And who's that hurt? Why would I? This is who God made me. My purpose. I'm a loving, I'm a giving, I'm a loyal person. And I'm going to stop that? And so this is my driving force. And by profession, I'm an advocate, but I advocate for patients who are needing health care. So by profession, I'm an advocate. And it just played a part because I've been advocating for a long time. This is one of the biggest things. And I didn't hear this from anywhere. It just came to me one day when people say, you only live once. You only live once. And I was laying in my bed. I said, no, I live every day. I'm going to die once. And so I choose to live every day and die once. And if you really think about that, you only live once. You can literally think that way, but every day it's a cycle, it's something you can change. So no, live every day, because you're only going to die once. So this life that you was given, this is your opportunity to live it to the fullest. And the biggest thing is people say, I'm looking for peace, or I want peace. And there is no journey or path to peace. Peace is the path. So you operate in the peace. everything to conquer. So you already got the pieces here, and we all know it. This joy that I found, the world didn't give it to me. And the same with your peace, your
That's
joy,
right.
your love. The world didn't give it to you. So what? The world what?
Can't take it away.
Take it away. So we sing all these songs, but we don't want to operate in it because technically the world, no matter what's going on around the world, and I always use the analogy of a boat. You can put the boat in the middle of a water, and all that boat is going to float, right? You let that water get into that boat, what happened?
It's going to sink.
It's going to sink. Well, guess what? That's the same thing with our lives. Everything around us can happen, but where we sink at is when we let it get in us and control us. And that's where we sink. Anything can happen around us. Don't let it consume you and get in you, because that's the part of the life that you get overwhelmed, you get shamed, you get all those things. And so that when you realize that you really, things going to happen in life, it's going to happen, but you got to operate it, learn how to process it, talk to people, have life coaches, have platforms like this is there to help you, to get you. It was at one point that you would have had to go out your house to get help. You got access. You got people like Candace and Angie bringing it to you.
First of all, wow. I mean, way to kick off this episode. You dropped so many nuggets just now. I'm like, where is my pen and paper? Because I need to be taking notes, okay? Literally. So one thing that stood out to me that you said, and I know, Candace, the one thing that you probably want to speak on, I already know.
The B word, right?
Yeah. But I want to say, you mentioned as far as like your personality, as far as being caring and nice and loving, and that being like a God-given, gift, right? I feel the same way. And I feel like through my journey, it was that realization that made me also like realize like, no, I can't like not do this, because when I wake up in the morning, this is how I feel naturally. I naturally want to pour into people. I naturally want to care for people. So that's when you start to realize that, okay, the purpose that God has, ordained for me has to do with that. So like you said, is setting those boundaries is how you can execute that. That's what you're supposed to do. You have to protect it. You have to, once you realize that that's your gift, and you know that that's your assignment from God, that you're going to walk in that. And so I thank you so much for confirming that and affirming that. And Candace, I've shared that with you in my own way. I've said that to you in my own words, and Miss Mel just confirmed that. So thank you so much. Candace, you wanted to say?
Boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries. Mel, that is something that I, to this day, am struggling with. And Angie, I really thank God for Angie, because she recommended a book called, I think it's called Having Tough Conversations or Having the Hard Talk.
Oh, Crucial Conversations.
That's it. Crucial Conversations. And I bought the book, haven't opened it yet. I need to read it. Look, I mean,
book club, Pretty Purposeful Book Club. Okay.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I'm happy you said that. I'm happy you used the B word. Boundaries is so important. And I think it does play a part into keeping your peace. It does.
And I will explain something to help you, Candace, with the boundaries. It's not something that you can go to like a grocery store and put a whole bag of boundaries in a bag and you have them. You establish them, right? So for instance, my first marriage was a physical abusive marriage, where he always wanted to hit. So guess what happened? The next time, don't ever put your hands on me. So that became a boundary. And so the next time something happened, okay, I forgave you, you cheated this time, the next relationship. So you set these boundaries and you start being vocal about them. But they don't happen all in life. You start setting the different boundaries as things happen. It's not like you go, because not, guess what happens? If you had the mindset that, I got all these boundaries, now you got a wall that somebody has to break down. So it's a difference between boundaries and having a wall up. So yes, walls stop things from coming in, but that's different than boundaries. Boundaries are healthy. So you're saying that this is who I am. This is what I'm not going to allow, and you're vocal with it, but you start building the boundaries. See, for me, I had to learn, because I'm a loyal person, right? Big heart. So I took vows serious, for better or for worse. But then I had to realize that for better or for worse don't mean that you get to treat me worse. So that for better or for worse, I took it like, well, I said for better or for worse. No, that meant like, okay, if you lose your job, I got you, right? We fall on hard times, I got you. So that's your better or worse. It doesn't mean that you get to be abused. And I think that's where loyal people like ourselves, we take so much because we're loyal. But then I had to come to that point. Yeah, I'm loyal, but I'm also not a doormat.
That's right.
And so even before I'm a widow, my husband just passed away in April. We were estranged, but I brought him back in the home because I had set those boundaries. And he was ordered to go to anger management, ordered out the house, and he became terminally ill. But what a loyal person does is I brought him, I canceled the divorce because I was willing to divorce again for my peace. Like, after 13 years and you can't start treating me those boundaries. And I said, no more. And so I dropped the divorce, and I brought him back in the home because he became terminally ill. And then, he survived 2 years after it, treated me worse. And not just because I'm, they say, oh, caregivers get the blunt of everything. No, because one thing I would explain to someone, if someone is not in their right mind, they don't have a respect to person. They're going to treat everybody bad because you don't know what you're doing. If you're consciously treating me bad, then you know what you're doing because you're not treating everybody else like that. And so when you set those boundaries, you have to stick with them. That's not to say, because let me tell you about your boundaries that you set if they weren't originally. Once you set boundaries, that person can no longer control you. So what they do is they control the way people see you. So now you're going to make up all these things. You're going to tell these things. Now you're going to be this bad person because they can't control you. So now that's where I started getting treated worse, was because he's like, oh, something's going to move her. Okay, I can't control it. Then I'm a breaker. Because I know she's loyal. She's going to stick by my side. So let me just make her life miserable, do whatever I can, blast music so she can't sleep, just torture. But that was my decision. Like, God, I brought him back in here. I'm going to stick. God said, be still. He said, be still. And the only difference was I still killed him with kindness. You want something to eat? Can I get you something? Can I carry that for you? And that gave me my peace when he passed. Although he was being mean, I still was able to pray with him before he traveled because he never made it back home. But what if I acted like he did? So that is where I made that decision to not let somebody change who I am. It's not easy because there's times that you want to, you think protecting yourself is rearing up like that person is, but you have to maintain that person that you are. If you get into that point where somebody's changing you, and when you're being changed, then there's no obligation to stay in that relationship. No price for your peace. There should be nothing that you are willing to sacrifice, whether it's another divorce, whether it's whatever, for your peace. There is nothing that if you're still in my peace, family, I don't care who you are, when I set boundaries, if you're disturbing my peace, then I can love you from a distance, is what I tell. I can love you. You do not have to be in my circle. Don't mean I don't love you anymore. I'm just going to love you from a distance.
A lot of what you're saying, Ms. Mel, is I have said it. So I love that you are literally, it's amazing to hear it from someone else, because often I am sharing a lot of this with Candace and other people, of course, through my platform. But I appreciate hearing this coming from someone else, because it's just like, I just feel like I have my own lived experience and I have my own testimony. But when I hear it from someone else, it's so reaffirming. I just appreciate that.
Why do you think shame can often become a part of someone's identity?
That comes with a lot with self-love, or the lack of self-love, and caring what other people think. So the biggest problem, we always worried about what other people think. So that's what's going to shame us the most, or stop us from being open. But that shame is a part of stopping you from being who God created you to be, because it's a stunt. It stops you, because now you're not. If I was shameful of everything I went through, then I couldn't live my purpose, because I wouldn't be here speaking right now about what I've been through. So shame is a way to stop you from living out your purpose-filled life. And who doesn't want you to live that purpose? The devil. And I always, one of the biggest thing is, we have victory over the devil, and we know that, but then we give him so much credit. Oh, the devil did this. Oh, the devil did this. But the thing comes with accountability, and you are accountable for your peace. You're accountable for your purpose. You have to take that part, and it starts with that self-love. And I always say this: if you don't start loving yourself, then you allow someone who say they love you control your happiness. They controlling your happiness. And one of the things that I had to let my deceased husband know was, it was an unrealistic goal. He wasn't happy with himself, but he wanted me to make him happy. That was an unrealistic burden to put on me to make you happy, because it has to come here. You should be happy, and you coming together, sharing your happiness. So to look for someone to make you happy is why there's a lot of sad people right now. Because you are literally feeding off of someone else's actions, their control. Well, they didn't text me. Well, they didn't call me. Well, they didn't. Instead of that self-love, and you find that peace and that love within yourself, I am telling you, I always loved myself. And this is a nugget that I found, that I was the one, I'm not argumentative. I love peace. I will let you have this argument just for peace. But what I realized, that in keeping the peace, I was losing pieces of me. And so that was like, I was losing, because sometimes when you're quiet and you're not acting and you're not vocal, and that person becomes to say, oh, she don't care how I treat her, or I can just treat her this way. So that's where that B word come in, capital B, those boundaries come in. Because yes, I might not want to argue, and I'm not confrontational, but I am going to speak now, like, okay, you will not treat me like this. That doesn't mean that you're being argumentative. That means you're standing your ground. So you are setting the stage for how somebody is going to treat you. And if they don't get it, it's okay. Guess what? Some people stay married. They can sit there and say, like, if I would love that I would have been married to one person. So I've been married 38 years. If I add the years, that's more than half of my life. So I'm coming from experience. Yes, I would have loved it to have been the same person. But if they did not keep up their part, and trust me, by the time I walked away, it was years of 15 years, 7 years, 15 of putting up with a lot before enough was enough. So by the time I walked away, I'm already prepared, that because a lot of people miss the spirituality of a relationship. And this was given to me. I think about Adam and Eve in the Bible. And when God said, if you shall eat from this tree, you shall surely die. He wasn't talking about a physical death. He was talking about a spiritual death, separation from him. So, when weddings and courthouse, all those things, those came from the world. You know, your marriage, you became spiritually connected with somebody. So when you stand in front of that altar and you say, until death do us part, nobody thinks about the spiritual separation. They always think it means in the grave. No, you can spiritually separate and kill that marriage, and that separation done took place. That's why people, they think, you like, where the love go and all that. It's because it's a spiritual separation.
Yeah.
It's that covenant is broken. That's what marriage is. It's a spiritual covenant that says everything that till death do us part, sickness, health. And then once you start treating somebody bad and just forgetting why, the purpose of y'all getting together, and people got intentions. You don't know people's intentions. When I married, it was someone I went through the high school, middle school, high school with. It was all good intentions. They may have had different intentions. Those intentions come out because, like with my husband, we didn't live together till we got married. He changed day one. I woke up and he told me I can't listen to gospel music, and I'm thinking I'm marrying a Christian man. So day one of our marriage, he moved into my apartment, and I'm like, I thought he was playing, but he was like, I don't want to listen to that. I thought I was being punked. I thought like, so immediately things changed. But that means what? He was only holding up a front.
Wow.
Until he got me.
Wow.
And so the biggest thing I saw that people miss, the same thing it took to get the person is the same thing it takes to keep them. Stop changing, because when you change it, that means your intentions were never authentic, is the word.
Yep.
It was never authentic.
Yep.
You are preaching to my soul.
It leads me to this. Everybody speaks of 50-50. You know, 50-50. And I have a problem with that. And I'm coming and I'm saying this because I was taught that, you know, you just do 50-50. And I'm sitting there saying, well, okay, I'm at 49. Do I stop when I get to 50? You know, well, I just do this and this. No. My philosophy is 100-100. That means you're coming authentically yourself. It doesn't matter who's doing it. You just come so authentic. You don't keep tallies of who's doing what.
Yeah.
It's just because you're so authentic and giving and loving. It doesn't matter. I did the dishes. This thing you did. It doesn't matter because you're not keeping tallies. Like, you don't have to stop because you're authentic.
Yeah.
And I see Candace. You got something you want to say?
I'm looking at my notepad over there and I'm like, geez, I need to be. I'm so serious. There's so many things that you've said. It really just hit me deep down to my core. I mean, I'll go back to the most recent statement you just said, in that whatever you bring to the relationship, you're going to have to keep it that way. For the longest, and I'm struggling with it now, you know, I just got out of a 10-year relationship, and it's been about a year or so since I guess we officially broke up. And part of me, I have gained a bunch of weight. I've gained probably over 60, 70 pounds. And part of me wants to lose weight to, quote unquote, find my next spouse. But as I've been in therapy and even listening to hearing what you just said, okay, you trying to get this body, yada, yada, yada. Are you going to keep the body, yada, yada, for the right reasons? Because even my therapist said, okay, so you're going to go out here and try to lose all this weight. I mean, if you're doing it for your health, that's perfect. And doing it for yourself, that's perfect. But if you're trying to find a man and you're trying to get slim to find a man, that man is going to want you to be that size forever. So if something happens, don't get upset if that man decides to do whatever he wants to do because you decided to gain extra 20 pounds. So it's like, you know, you definitely, you spoke to me there.
And that's that self-love.
That's the
when
self-love.
You love yourself as you are, as beautiful as you are, Candace. If you love yourself as you, God is that man that's attracted to that authentic you, that's who you're going to attract. You don't want to attract somebody who, I'm gonna tell you this.
Superficial.
Right.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you this. Somebody told me one time. It was this lady, and she was on her deathbed, and she was like, "God, if you save me, I promise I will do your work. Just save me. I don't want to die. Just if you save me, I will live my life for you." So she survived. And so, no, she now this new person now. So she went, she got a booty done, she got boobs done, she got face, she got all this stuff done to herself. And so she was walking one day, she was crossing the street, and she got hit and she died. And she said, God, I said that I would live for you. If you let me live, I would do your work. He said, I didn't know who you were.
Wow.
Wow. That's because she changed. She did all that changing. And that's what it said, because God loves us just the way we are. Yeah. And so she's trying to satisfy and get all this attention. He's like, I don't know you. And that was just a way
that's you're telling your creator that he didn't do a good job on you. Oh man, that's deep.
That's so deep.
And he created us in his image. Yeah. Oh, that's
and so that beauty you're gonna attract. You're gonna attract the person who loves you authentically.
Wow.
Versus trying to change, and get that person that y'all together exercising for the right reasons. Come on. And I think of what was it? It was a movie. I'm gonna get to it. Why Did I Get Married? When yes, Jill Scott lost all that weight for the right
man.
Well, right man. He's like, we gonna do this together. That's how you do it. Yeah. That's how you do it. Yeah. Where what he want to do? He was shaming her, humiliating her. Bad enough it was her best friend, but she evolved past it. But what is she? And that movie came to my mind, and she did it for the right reasons. She did it. It was all in love. Yeah. And I think about my pain, with my deceased husband sticking by his side, even with the abuse, and he died on his deathbed without my in-laws even telling me that. I found out a day after he died while they emptied his bank account. So and try to get his VA benefits. And so there was a lot of pain. And when I say that, it's because I looked at my in-laws as my parents, because my father-in-law married us. He's a pastor. And so I trusted them to think that he was hoarding all this money, not helping me with the mortgage for 4 years. And I'm paying everything, took on a part-time job. So there was a lot of pain involved. And to know that he died and they didn't call me and even tell me why they was plotting against me, that was a lot of pain that had to deal with. And on top of it, didn't even bury him, called me to bury him, although they had 6 digits of money of his, the policy, all that. But guess what I did? I still buried him. And I still did my part. And because ultimately, who am I doing this for? I have to live like God called me. I can't act in. I could have told them to bury him, and probably would have been right to tell them, no, what, you didn't tell me he died, but you want me to bury him. And I probably would have been in the right frame of mind to say that. But the love of me says, not till death do us part, do it afterwards, because that's going to say more than anything than, holding anger or holding bitterness. Because I know, guess what? I did my part. That's what the biggest thing is, sticking with, do your part. And when it's all said and done, if somebody fail you, you did your part. Yeah. We get so hurt and personal. I call it personal. And so tied to expecting people not to hurt us that we get hurt. It's okay to just be disappointed. Right. But I got to that point in my life that if somebody hurt me or disappoint me and I did my part, I'm going to shed some tears, because I wanted things. And I'm not going to say, woe is me, kind of like that kind of thing. That's the first thing. That's that shame. Woe is me. Here we go again. Another one, No, You did your part. That's all you can do. So now that person either in your life for a reason or a season. And I would not be who I am today had I not went through what I went through. And I say this, I learned more from pain than I could ever learn from pleasure. Pain taught me who I am today. Pleasure is wonderful, but pain is why I'm here. And that's that pain to purpose, misery to ministry. Test becomes my testimony. Because if it wasn't for that, I would not be here. I had my Job experiences. I had those things. But guess what? I never stopped smiling because I had this inner peace. Wouldn't be telling the truth if I say I ain't cry, or I won't cry again, or that I won't get hurt again. I know what my heart is. I can't say that somebody's not going to hurt me again, but I'm going to just do my part. And I came to that point that whoever looked, it's their loss. I know what I bring. If you fuck with me, it's your loss. And you got to have that much positivity about yourself that is somebody willing to lose me, you're lost.
I want to ask you something. So do you find that because you have this experience and because you know this, you know what your purpose is, do you find that when people do hurt you that you pivot from the situation faster?
I do. So now that I've came to situations, now when I put up with more before, right? So I got hurt more. Now it's like, okay. Now how am I going to use this? Now it becomes, when I wake up every day, just like you, I post something. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what it's going to be, but it's always a message, always a purpose. Even if I get hurt, then now my hurt becomes a purpose. I use sandpaper, right? With sandpaper, it buffs us. So my pain becomes sandpaper to me. I now take it to say, bring it on, devil, bring it. Because now I know I'm about to do something with you. Because now you just buffing me up for something. So when you ready, you put on that armor, and I'm like, and I use it like sandpaper. I use it like a stepping stool. I'm going to use it to build. It no longer and I think he probably gave up at this point, but he's never going to give up. He'll use relationships. He's going to use people. He use things. He's like, okay, she got a big heart. She loving. I'm going to use this to break her. And it had been a point where I felt betrayed by people, broken by people. And I've been there where I was my first heartbreak, because it was my cousin, somebody who betrayed me. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't do nothing. I had lost weight. I was young, but I was so loyal that it broke me. And then I'm gonna tell you what happened. My dad took me back then. The doctor's office was a house, and he took me to Dr. Stansberry, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, like, guess was the living room, and they in the kitchen where his office is.
I remember those.
And I heard Dr. Stansberry say, you might want to take it to see a psychiatrist. I needed to hear that. You hear me? I said, what? And something went off just like that. I got my basketball out. I went and started playing basketball. I needed to hear that because I was considered a strong person, and I'm a leader, not a follower. And I was like, I'm crazy.
Right.
But I wasn't realizing I wasn't eating. And I was losing this weight.
It was consuming you. It was consuming you.
And then from that day forth, and I made that determination. I might get hurt, but you're not going to. And that's how I know how much power we have over our mind. When they say the mind is I chose to say, oh, not this one, not me. And so I started playing my basketball, and I built it. And it took me a while to trust and love again. And this is one of the biggest things that I learned. I will never hold the next man in my life accountable for what somebody else did to me. And that is a powerful place to get to, and to say, why would that be fair to somebody to do that to you? Because somebody cheated on the next person, so now he don't trust. So until you're healed, don't get into another relationship. How do you know when you healed?
I was about to ask you that.
How do you know when you heal? You heal when things no longer consume you. A lot of people lose the friendship in a relationship. And I say that because my deceased husband, one time, because we grew up together and we didn't reunite till 20 years after high school, I was trying to get him to see. I was like, what happened to our friendship? And he said, I don't need a friend, I need a wife. So therefore, at that point, I realized that I was just someone who was supposed to be washing his clothes, doing all those things. It was never about the person I grew up with and the friendship and, you know, the stable woman that I was, and didn't care that he was, you know, I saw the potential. You know, I wasn't one of those where they say build it. When you got the potential, I don't want it. I say this, if a woman is willing to accept you while you down, therefore, versus, oh, you got to have all these things. And then when you fall down, and then she leaves you because she wanted you to have all these things. And that's the same thing with the weight thing, that's tapping into the weight. You're going to lose weight for somebody to attract. So then if you gain the weight, then you don't know what they're going to do. So if I'm willing to accept you while you down, bring you into my house, my apartment, accepting you then, and then once you get there, you be like, oh, I don't need you now. So now I get to treat you any way you want. You know, I had nothing. In fact, one time he said, I said, you know what? I never said this, but you really didn't have nothing but your clothes and your military trunks when you came into this man, and I accept you. And he basically said, look at me now. Look at me now. And so that meant you got to value a woman or a person that's willing to accept you as you are, because guess what? That says a lot. That means when you fall, she got you because she accepted you when you were down. Yeah. Same thing with your weight. If he accepts you like that, guess what? He's accepting you authentically as you are. So therefore, if something changes, you already know where he's staying with you.
It sounds like, just from what you were saying, how he perceived your role as a wife, it seemed very fragmented and very one-dimensional. Whereas when you are in a relationship, in a marriage, that is, I mean, you're coming together. So it's like you got to enter that naked. Like, you got to come in like, because that's a union. So you have to come in like holistically ready to give up, you know, any identity that you had as an individual. You coming in and you're creating a new identity together. So if he wasn't willing to come in as his authentic self, how was he going to unite with you and create something new together? So it sounds like his perspective of a wife he was blocking his blessings from the beginning, is what it sounds like. But thank you so much for sharing that. So again, thank you so much, Mel, for being so vulnerable and transparent and sharing your stories with us. I just want to know if there's someone out there that's watching this right now and they're just wondering like how you were able to get through all of that and be able to, you know, still deal with, you know, any feelings of shame. Is there any advice that you would give anybody that might still be struggling with shame right now? Any way that they can address that and try to come out of that shame?
Absolutely. I always emphasize it's okay to talk to people. It's okay to go to a therapist or a life coach and talk about it. But the first thing is whatever that self-love, start reading things, just start loving on yourself. And that gets rid of the shame, and to acknowledge that it's okay that you went through childhood abuse, things that happened to you. But the one thing you have to remember, this is our body, our flesh. Anything, they can beat on this and they can do all those things. But the one thing you have to work on is not just your mind and your body, but your soul. Listen to music, listen to positive stuff. Come to follow me. I'm going to put something positive, because one thing about music, you can't mix negativity and music at the same time. Tell me, Angie, from a singer. Yeah. When that positive stuff come in, it is so important. It washes out the negative. Try listen to some real good music and be negative at the same time. Try it. Mm-hmm. And I ain't saying go listen to songs that's going to make you cry. Don't listen to sad songs while you're trying to get uplifted. You know, feel yourself around people. It's okay to start peeling off anything that's negative in your life. Inventory. When I wake up, I inventory my life. I inventory everything that's around me. And that's how you get past that. Self-love is the devil is almost like holding a grudge against somebody and then expecting healing when we already know forgiveness is not about the other person, it's about us. So the shame part is it happened, but now how I'm going to move past it, because you can. And acknowledging why, or I'm going to let that hold me from my purpose-filled life. And you got to make that conscious decision that I'm going to do this thing and nothing is going to stop me.
Oh, I can so relate. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Mel. This has been amazing. We thank you. Before we get out of here, we have a special segment that we love to do with our guests. It's called Purposeful. So we know you are a purpose-driven woman, but right now we just want you to share with us, if purpose were a mirror, what would reflect back to you?
What was just given to me as I look at this purpose and pulse? As long as you have a pulse, how you live your moments is how you live your life. You were created with a purpose. So every moment that you have, and as long as you have a pulse in your body, you make that decision that you're going to live this life to the fullest. That is your purpose.
I was telling Candace, I'm like, I know we don't have a whole lot of subscribers right now and all that, but I love the fact that we just continue to put out content that is, of high quality. We're very intentional about our messages. The value that is in this content doesn't go anywhere. It's still going to be there. And when people do finally discover our platform, oh man, so many people are going to be blessed. So yes. We're in no rush at all.
My question is, I know is this downloadable for TikTok?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Because I have almost 8,000 followers.
Oh,
yeah. On TikTok. Yes.
We don't have to follow you. We'll follow you from our personal TikTok and from
so
the
that way I can get it on that platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we're still, we literally, one thing about Candace and I, because we both work, and I try to tell Candace, it's easy to pay to be popular. I don't really care about popularity because I've been there.
If you touch one, then you touch one. That's how I am.
Right.
If you touch one, then you've done your job.
So my goal is instead of rushing to be popular, I would rather take the time to put the time into the actual content so that when that time comes, because I know my value. Candace, she knows her value. We know that what we're doing is meaningful and it has a lot of value. So when it does, it's going to take off to the point that it will be unstoppable. Nobody can stop what God has, ordained for us.
You're going to be having live. Where people are going to interact. It's going to be live.
Right. And that's why I say I just didn't want to jump ahead. I didn't really want to get caught up in what the world thinks we should do with our platform. Mm-hmm. The world will tell us, oh, you need to be viral. Oh, you need to do this so you can get more followers. And it's I don't want to have everyone following us. There is a set number of people, or there's certain group of people that is destined to be a part of this community. We don't just want any and everybody following us, because that's how it controls, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're being spirit led and just really letting this thing grow organically. And so all of our guests this season just have amazing testimonies, amazing stories, just thousands. So it's just again, the world will tell you that you need to be having everybody's attention. But as someone who has had attention my whole entire life and who is not impressed by people's attention, had unwanted attention, I'm my motto has always been this: when I want your attention, I can get it. But I don't want to have your attention if I don't have anything of value to give.
That's it. And that's how I am. When I post my positive stuff, if it touches one, and that's how it kind of grew.
Yeah.
Because I'm tapping into music. Like when I posted not Frankie Beverly, Jeffrey Osborne, and for people to see him live, 76,
look good.
Thing just went, and it's like I reached people through music.
Yeah,
because music is ministry. Henceforth, Melodye. My parents probably named me, not realizing how much music was going to play in my life. Right. But I'm drawing them in, and but they come in for the positive. It's like you're feeling bad. It's like you can't feel bad on here.
That's
even
right.
as a moderator on Demola's on his thing, like negativity. Like I'm like, take that negative stuff somewhere else. Like this is not this. I don't like he's not appealing to me. Who asked you?
Right. Why are you here? Bye.
I said, she said, but he is gifted. I said, then you need to refocus. Why you listening to him?
That's right. That's a demon. All that is just a demon. You know, you just battling that demon. That's it.
Yes. And so I everything about my life, like my family look at me and they think I'm like I don't go through nothing. I go through, but it's how I come out. I have this determination after my first heartbreak that nobody is going to dictate my happiness. You are not going to dictate my future. You're not going to dictate my happiness. I just lost one friend of 25 years, one friend of 30. They male friends because they thought after my husband passed, they were next in line. And I'm saying, I'm your friend and you ain't appealing to me as no man. I know you're a womanizer. I don't want you. So they don't speak to me. I'm like, that would have hurt me. And they know that would have hurt me years ago because I'd be the one, why you not come text? Right. I'm like, bye. Like, why you on my Facebook still?
We're so happy that you came and stopped by the Pretty Purposeful podcast.
This is
look, we have more time because I don't want the conversation to end. I'm like,
I'm telling you, like this won't be the last.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm a willing vessel here, and I'm ready.
Yes, definitely. We're looking forward to next season. Of course, we're wrapping up season 3, but we would love to have you back on next season.
Absolutely.
Candace, did you have any final thoughts or anything that you wanted to share?
Look, Mel said it all. I'm ready to hit replay.
I know.
Yes.
You dropped a lot of gems, definitely. This was actually our next to the last episode. Our next episode is going to be our last episode of 2024. You guys, we have something special up our sleeves for you guys, so stay tuned. But if you would like to be a future guest for season 4 of PPP, which will be in 2025, definitely go to our website, prettypurposefulpodcast.com, complete our registration form. If you would like to if there is a topic that you would like us to talk about, you can let us know anytime. You can hit us up in the DM on Instagram, or you can also email us at prettypurposefulpodcast@gmail.com. Let's see. Oh, if you like this episode, definitely like, share, comment. And if you haven't subscribed, we would love to have you as one of our subscribers. We'd love to have you join our Purposeful family. Again, thank you so much, Mel, for joining us. This has been an amazing episode. Purposeful family, we hope that you all have enjoyed this episode and gained something from it. As always, it's okay to be pretty,
but even better to be
pretty purposeful. Bye.